Hi everyone, it's Chenzo from Reality Art Pod, here to talk about the Traitors Season 3 cast. Traitors is becoming one of my favorite shows. I fully recapped last season and I'll put a link to that playlist in the description. If you like my content, consider liking and subscribing, but let's dive into it. I'll break down the cast, give my takes, how I think they'll perform on the show, and in the end, I'll give my top 3 picks to be the Traitors. I did a lot of research, especially about the names that I didn't know, but let's start with the name that I do know in Bob Harper. So I used to effing love The Biggest Loser as a kid, and it's my life stream to get absolutely bullied by both Bob and Jillian on either side of a treadmill as I work myself out to the point where I'm seeing the bright light of heaven in an effort of losing 23 pounds in 1 week. Bob was the good cop on that show, always being a positive leader of his teams and leading with love, which will make him a great leader of the faithfuls. I think he'll be outspoken and really rally the team together, trying to steer the group in the right direction, which I believe will be his downfall, as if he's steering the group in the right direction, he's gotta be murdered quickly, though it would be hilarious to see him running the group in the wrong direction. And while I do see him as a smart person, he's never really done anything in the strategic realm, so I don't have too much faith in him being a strategist. For that reason, I would only cast him as a faithful, and I think he's pretty doomed. Next up is Bob the Drag Queen. Bob is one of the most dominant winners in Drag Race history, having an entire season in her grip from start to finish, and I attribute that to a few main factors. Obviously, she's talented, but Bob is also extremely intelligent. On Drag Race, I feel like she always knew what to do to either win the challenge or at least be deemed safe, a lot of the time pandering directly to Rue after having studied things that Rue himself likes, which I feel like is the most strategic way you can play Drag Race. That intelligence comes through in her quick wit, and I really enjoy listening to her podcast because she has a unique way of thinking and comes off as really cerebral without being threatening. I'm kind of surprised to see her on this cast given that her mom passed away extremely recently and she's been taking time off of her podcast, but she's a true professional and will perform well regardless. As a faithful, I think Bob would play a crafted game and to know what's going on but make really strong bonds with other players. As a traitor, she would be so sneaky and really have everyone so snowed and bamboozled. While I feel like Bob is a winner pick in either role, I really hope she's a traitor because given her current personal situation I mentioned earlier, I think a traitor role would be a bit easier for her to navigate given there's a lot less paranoia and stress as a traitor. Next, we have Britney Haynes from Big Brother Reindeer Games, and The Amazing Race. Those of you who tuned in for my boozy Big Brother Reindeer Games videos know that I'm a big simp for Britney. Her time on Big Brother saw her being an expert confessionalist, which I'm most excited for because no matter her role, her commentary is going to be hilarious. Think about her dramatic retelling of the saga of John's inhaler from last season. She's perceived as a layup in challenges, but actually has won more challenges on Big Brother than most people do. She also has a strategic mind, but due to her never making a finale of any show, I feel like she could be slept on and underestimated, which could be good. What could be bad is that she's been completely duped and bamboozled twice on Big Brother proper, which could see her making critical errors in the game and costing her to let a traitor best her. I'd personally like to see her as a faithful because I think she'll be entertaining enough and doesn't really need to be a point person to do so. Next, we have Carolyn Weiger from Survivor. I really liked Carolyn on season 44. She was my winner pick mainly because she mentioned that she plays social strategy games on Roblox, and I thought that was a step ahead anyone in her season. She was able to get herself to the final 3 on her season, though she didn't have to do much heavy lifting to do so given she was helped by her competitors seeing her as a layup, and she also wasn't taken seriously by her jury. CBS has really been pushing her on us, and she's obviously going to be back for Survivor 50, so I really feel like this casting is promotion from CBS over anything. The fans have been turning on her lately through her support of Carson for his bad business while he's being canceled, and I get that he's her friend, but she recently was still selling pillows with Carson's face on it, which showed that she's really not self-aware, which won't help her out on the show. I think she'll definitely not be a traitor because I think she's too unpredictable for the producers to trust that she won't blow the whole game up. I feel like they usually cast traitors who are strategic, entertaining, and reliable. Her unpredictable behavior probably won't fly well in the manner. I could see them voting her out even though they know she's a faithful just because she's extremely distracted and distracting and getting in everyone's way of finding the truth. Next is Chanel Ayan, who just goes by Ayan from The Real Housewives of Dubai. Firstly, I've seen every episode of this show and I can't tell you a single storyline that I remember from this series in general, but I do think Ayan is the only memorable housewife from this show. I feel like part of her appearance here is Bravo trying to save the ratings for that show, as people are going to be like, ooh, what show is she from? I have to watch it, only to be bait and switched. She's unique, outspoken, and is going to be bringing the fashions to the manor. For that reason, I hope she sticks around for a while to at least win one Best Dressed at Breakfast award. I found a YouTube video where Phaedra and Ayan exchange reads at BravoCon, where Phaedra owns Ayan and makes her look silly. Ayan's obviously aware that Phaedra slayed last season and is going to be trying to outdo Phaedra, something I don't think she can do. I'm on the fence about Ayan because I think she'll be a better traitor than a faithful, but I think I'd make her a faithful because it would be so entertaining watching her eviscerate people left and right for no reason and have huge blow-ups at the round table. I think she has little chance of winning or even wanting to win either way. Next, we have Chrishell Stause from Selling Sunset. I'm excited to see Chrishell on this list because it puts me one step closer to seeing Christine Quinn as a traitor. Both both are from Selling Sunset, and on that show, Chrishell originally played the sweet new girl in town hero who can stand up for herself when she's pressed. I don't see her wanting to be a traitor, nor do I think she has the strategic chops to really kill it as a traitor, but I think she could be a really successful faithful who smiles her way to the end and maybe can eke out a win here, but I don't think she'd be a driving force behind the win. Next, we have Ciara Miller from Summer House. This is the first person on the list I don't really know much about. I don't watch Summer House. I looked up her best moments and couldn't find any videos, which is really concerning for entertainment value. From her Instagram, we can expect her to be turning looks at breakfast, so there's that at least, and she's gonna help them in challenges, which is good. She seems like a really down-to-earth person, and on this channel, that's a bad thing. I think she'll be a faithful who gets murdered for being quiet. We get the return of Danielle Reyes, another Big Brother and Reindeer Games legend, and one of the greatest Big Brother strategists of all time. Danielle's most known for being robbed of a win on Big Brother 3, where she masterminded the season and lost to a bitter jury. She's never been afraid to be villainous, but Big Brother isn't a show where you can be too villainous and succeed. She was even coming into Reindeer Games with a bit of cutthroat mentality. Here on The Traitors, I feel like this is going to be a no-holds-barred bloodbath for her. If the producers make her a traitor, she would eat and leave no crumbs, I fear. But also, after Dan was on last season and it was like, you can't have Dan on and not make him a traitor, I feel like the other players will be sus on her from the beginning, as she's pretty much an obvious pick to make a traitor. But then I look at this cast and I'm like, do I really think Bob Harper or Dylan Efron were really watching Big Brother 3 or Reindeer Games and are scared of her? She also had a close relationship with Britney. They had a tight Final Two alliance going into Reindeer Games, and in Danielle's boot episode, Britney kind of dogged Danielle after a misunderstanding, choosing Danielle for a challenge that was certain doom for her. So I expect them to have some kind of rivalry like Parvati and Sandra heading into season 2, where if Danielle has plot armor, she'll end up getting revenge on Britney, though I hope they can both succeed together. Next, we get Delores Catania from Real Housewives of New Jersey. Of all the Real Housewives of New Jersey, Delores is one of my least favorites. It's not that I dislike her, I just find her boring, and I'll get hate for this because I know a lot of people like her for being so down to earth, and she is and was voted one of the most relatable housewives, but her storylines are mostly revolving around her relationship with her ex-husband Frank, and it's always irked me how dependent and attached she is to him. Even when she gets loud, she's still quiet, if that makes sense. With all that said, I do think Delores is very smart, and as far as housewives go, she probably has everything it takes to sneak to the end without seeming suspicious as a faithful. Her relatability will help her to connect with the group, though that could make her a target for murder. Next, we have Dorinda Medley from Real Housewives of New York. Dorinda's unpredictable, chaotic, and cracked, one of the more quoted housewives, giving us "I made it nice" and "clip, clip, clip." I can't wait to see what she's going to give us on this outing. I don't think Dorinda is there to win. She's just there to make good TV and will definitely be a faithful. I worry for her because I think she's an easy target to be voted out, especially because she might feel like the manor reminds her of the Berkshires, where she's especially volatile. Next is Dylan Efron from Down to Earth with Zac Efron. I don't want to just say he's a Nepo baby, so I looked this guy up. I even found a People magazine article released about him from this week because of this announcement, and everything they have to say about him is because of his brother. They say he loves the outdoors, he has a dog, and shocker, he's really close with Zac Efron. He also gets opportunities in the entertainment industry, which it looks like he gets them through a certain connection. I'm not gonna say who. So if he's not a Nepo baby, I take that back. He's a Nepo bro. I looked up his YouTube and it's a lot of boring adventure stuff. He went on vacation with Harry Jousey, who I hate. So overall, it's a no for me, dog, on this guy. He'll definitely be a faithful, and I think he can get pretty far because I think he'll be cool with everyone. I don't think the Traitors will be too worried about him because it doesn't seem like his elevator goes all the way to the top. Next, I have Gabby Windey from Bachelor Nation and Dancing with the Stars Nation. I didn't pay too much attention to Gabby when I was watching her Bachelor season, but I just went on a deep dive watching Gabby videos on YouTube and TikTok, and I feel like I missed out. Every clip of her is her being a baddie in her own way. She's confident, tough, outspoken, and naughty. The videos I found of her are her standing her ground and telling off the Bachelor Clayton twice, and her rejecting a rose, which is kind of badass, and 2 recent podcasts, one where she was brainstorming her favorite nicknames for genitalia, and another from 2 weeks ago titled Scissoring. So I think she'll really be pushing to want to be a traitor, and she could be sneaky enough to get away with being a traitor. I think this would really give her the chance to show a really marketable, naughty side for herself. Next, I have Jeremy Collins from Survivor. Jeremy's a 3-time Survivor player, and I'm actually going to talk about him more later. I'll make it make sense, but he's a nice guy. He has a strong why of supporting his family. He's super likable, and I think objectively he'd make a really great faithful and traitor hunter. Next, we have Lord Ivor Mountbatten, known for being the Queen of England's cousin and the first member of the extended royal family to come out as gay. A lot of the information about him online is about his marriage to his ex-wife. She was basically his beard, but she doesn't say that. She says that he was fully cheating on her with men, and she knew that he was cheating on her, but she was totally cool about it, and mad respect to her for that. He has a a male partner now, and the three of them are friends. She even walked him down the aisle at his wedding, and that's his story. He actually seems like a very cool, down-to-earth person. Thumbs down for that. But I'm so over every single extended royal being a celebrity and having a ticket onto a reality show. It kind of reminds me of how Gary was on Celebrity Big Brother and ended up being a real flopperoonie. So I think he'll be a fun, silly faithful, maybe a good strategist, but given the video I watched, it seems like he really wants to be seen positively and be liked, so I expect him to be a faithful who plays faithfully. Next, we have Nikki Garcia, pro wrestler and ex-Bella twin. So I've heard of her, but I've never watched the show Total Bellas. They seem to be really trying to rebrand themselves as the Garcia twins, not the Bellas. So this show would, I guess, be a step on the journey where she's becoming her own person, not a Bella. In the ring, the Bellas look like badasses, which seems traitorous, but in recent videos, she's giving sweet, lovely person. I don't think she'll want to be a traitor. It seems like that would be bad for business for what she's trying to portray. Next, I have Boston Rob Mariano from Survivor, The Amazing Race, and Deal or No Deal Island. I know there are a lot of hardcore Boston Rob girlies out there. Shout out to my sister who rides for him and helped me out with this video, but I'm not one of those riders, and I've seen the sentiment on Twitter, but the Boston Rob fatigue is real. After him being on Survivor 5 times, 6 if you count IOI, 2 seasons of The Amazing Race, somehow the straw broke the camel's back for me, with him being the only real celebrity on Deal or No Deal Island, where Peacock was taking their turn, riding his back for cash. It was only a matter of time before we'd see him don the cloak, and I'm really torn at what role I'd put him in. On one hand, he's a huge name, and making him a traitor would be good for cash, but wouldn't it be too obvious? He's gonna get voted out early, no matter what, and he's not actually that good of a game player, at least as far as traitors go. You have to be sneaky, and he's never been successfully sneaky. I'll talk about him more later. Next, we have Robyn Dixon from Real Housewives of Potomac. Like I said for Delores, of all the housewives from Potomac, Karen, Ashley, Candace, Monique, we get Robyn here, who's probably the most relatable of the group, especially if a lot of people out there have their husbands cheating on them time after time, and then they get clear evidence of infidelity given to them and they choose not to believe it. Based on this, she seems like someone who will be faithful even though her husband isn't. She'll be likely to follow the wrong trails, probably be the traitor's favorite student. She'll never be murdered, and if she makes it to the finale, the traitors are going to have a win in the bag. Next, we have Sam Asghari, actor and Britney Spears' ex-husband, who I don't know much about. I watched one video listing all the bad things he did to Britney, including blackmailing her, but that was obviously biased against him, so I watched a video of him telling his side of the story, and obviously that was biased toward him, and he was acting like a nicey nice guy. I couldn't really make an opinion, but I don't think he would want to be a traitor given him fighting a lot of bad press right now. I think he'll want to be a faithful, acting faithful, so he can get out of this looking good, but I think people will assume the worst of him and prejudge him as being potentially sketchy, which won't bode well for him. Next, I have Tom Sandoval from Vanderpump Rules. I've tried to watch Pump Rules so many times, and I feel like I've just missed the bus on it, so I watched a 5-minute YouTube video detailing the Sandoval fiasco. Everyone involved with this seems to be really milking it for what it's worth. There are a lot of really sketchy characters on this season who are seemingly trying to fix their reputations, including Tom, and I can't see any of them wanting to be a traitor. I can't imagine them forcing someone to be a traitor who also doesn't want to, unless it's a recruitment. I keep saying this, but the folks with bad public opinions and bad reputations have numbered days in the manor. Next, I have Tony Vlachos, a 3-time Survivor player and the only male 2-time winner. Tony is extremely chaotic, and it served him well on Survivor. His antics usually provide more entertainment than they actually have practical value. I think he'll be trying to make good TV moments in the manor, which will make him look really sketchy. If he tries to be quiet and professional, it's also going to be a red flag to the other players. What stands out to me, and let me cook on this, is there's 3 dominant male Survivor winners on this cast, and I find it interesting that they'd cast all 3 of them, as they were all also on Winners at War, and they're going to have a huge target on their back from anyone who actually watches Survivor, and if they don't watch Survivor, Carolyn will fill them in. I also don't think they'll make it very far without starting a winner war between the 3 of them that leads to all of their demises. My first thinking is at least one of these 3 have to be a traitor, but I actually think it would be more entertaining if none of them were. We round our cast out with Wells Adams, who started as a memorable Bachelorette contestant and is now in a semi-high-profile marriage with the Sarah Hyland. I always felt like he was on the wrong show because he wasn't the cookie-cutter Bachelor Nation person, but kept coming back even to the point where the producers made him the Bachelor in Paradise bartender as a way to just keep having him on the show, and I think he obviously has the reliability. He also has the smarts and is entertaining enough to be both a good traitor and a lovable faithful who makes it really far without being murdered or voted out. But similar to Dancer Max on last season, he's a host of a pizza show on Netflix, and I feel like he'd want to be a faithful to keep up his good guy persona. So that's my thoughts on the entire cast, but I'm gonna pick 3 people that I would make traitors. I'm ruling out all the people who I think want to make themselves look good to save their reputations, also trying to put my producer hat on and make the best possible show. So I'm casting my 3 traitors as Bob the Drag Queen, Danielle Reyes, and Gabby Windey. All 3 from different types of shows on different networks, and all 3 share the 3 fundamentals I found make good traitors. They're entertaining, smart, and reliable. But that's all I have to say about this cast. Let me know in the comments who are your 3 picks to be traitors from this group. My opinions are of course going to be different from yours, so let's talk about it in the comments. Like I said earlier, I'm going to be recapping this season when it comes out. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Until then, have a nice summer. Bye.